world around the clock with Fox News. Tune in 4, 5, 6 times a day so you'll...
Oh, we're just in time. Here we go, my friend. Thanks so much for being here. I am just scrambling this morning.
I love the great Belfrage show. I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do.
You know, it's no surprise I've got to go on the air every day, but you think so. Man, I'm scrambling around.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the great...
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It's great to have you along Thursday morning, November 21st. Welcome. There's just a lot of big news this morning. There are a lot of things happening that I want to tell you about, and we've got a limited amount of time to do it, so let's get to it. The man accused then of killing Laken Riley was found guilty of murder yesterday, and he was convicted on 3 counts of felony murder, counts of malice murder, kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated assault with intent to rape, and more. So he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, which is what prosecutors had been looking for. Now, keep in mind, this is Jose Ibarra, who is 26 years old. And the New York Post in their reporting pointing out he's, part of Tren de Aragua. And it's just incredible why, as we talk about what was going on at the border and the folks coming in, and again, not that he was representative of everybody who was coming into the border, but even if when you've got tens of thousands of people who are coming into the country, even if a very small percentage of them are like this man, and then you see the videos of Laken Riley's family as they were getting the news of her death. They're falling on the ground in absolute tears, just distraught. This is absolutely heartbreaking stuff. So Donald Trump responded to this yesterday. He said, "Justice for Laken Riley." He said the illegal who killed our beloved Laken Riley was just found guilty on all counts for his horrific crimes. Although the pain and heartbreak will last forever, hopefully this can bring some peace and closure to her wonderful family who fought for justice, and to ensure that other families don't have to go through what they have. We love you, Laken, and our hearts will always be with you. It's time to secure our border and remove these criminals and thugs from our country so nothing like this can happen again, Trump said on True Social. So you've got that ongoing. And again, she was, as we're getting to know Laken Riley and her family, did you hear they played it on Clay and Buck yesterday? And I think for those of you who are watching the trial of Jose Ibarra may have seen this. But her father had read a letter that Laken Riley wrote to her future husband. Whoever her future husband would have been, she wrote this letter. What an incredible God-fearing young woman. Just absolutely heartbreaking, devastating when I heard that yesterday. Literally, I had tears running down my face. Just absolutely incredible. Also, so as we tell you, here we've got Donald Trump, talking about removing these criminals and thugs from our country so nothing like this can happen again. Meanwhile, the Biden administration, according to the New York Post, quietly loosening their immigration policies before Donald Trump takes office, including letting migrants skip their ICE check-ins in New York City. So the Democrats have apparently learned not a damn thing now from any of this. They're loosening their immigration policies before Trump takes over You still don't think Democrats are destroying the country? I mean, wow, this is just absolutely amazing. And there's more on that at the New York Post. So Homeland Security sources tell the Post that the ICE portal app will allow migrants then to bypass in-person check-ins to their local ICE office. So they'll just be able to on the app to do that, and so it's just incredible. Meanwhile, this is like a tour of insanity every day, isn't it? I mean, seriously. Now we've got U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement in Boston announced yesterday the arrests of 2 illegal immigrants who have been charged with forcibly raping children in Massachusetts, as well as a third who was convicted of raping a child in Brazil. So they were hiding in the U.S. after being caught and released at the U.S. border in 2022. So this is another, proud moment for the Biden administration. So those arrests coming after Massachusetts governor. Now, again, this is in Massachusetts. They've been charged with forcibly raping children there. This comes after the governor of Massachusetts, Maura Healey, said her state also would not cooperate with Donald Trump and their enforcement efforts once he returns to the Oval Office. Okay, for a breath of sanity, let's go over to Tom Homan, who will be Donald Trump's border czar. And so Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, the Democrat mayors of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, and Boston, among others, have said that they will not help. In fact, they're going to do what they can to resist Trump's mass deportation plan. And so Holman was on Newsmax, and he said yesterday, he's got a message for Democrats. He said, I'll tell you this, they don't have to help us, but they need to get the hell out of the way because we're coming. We're going to do it, which means if I have to send twice as many resources to that sanctuary city, twice as many agents, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I've been saying for the last several days that they need to study the law. He said, if they don't want to help, but don't impede us and don't cross certain lines, he said. There's a statute under Title 8 in the U.S. Code that talks about knowingly harboring and concealing an illegal alien from ICE. They need to read that statute and become familiar with it, because if they cross that line, there will be consequences, Holman says. I love this guy. Seriously, can you imagine having that job? And the number of people, Border Patrol agents and others, that he has had to bury as a result of these kinds of absolutely lawless policies, the death of Americans that this causes. Just absolutely shocking. And the Democrats are just ignore it. They just do not care. And he said, Holman said, the president wants to focus on national security threats and public safety threats. What elected official wants public safety threats to remain in the communities? Their number one responsibility is to protect those communities. So shame on them for that. And he went on. I'll share that in more detail later this morning. Want to get through a lot of these. I've got quite a stack of stories I want to share with you. Also, we're learning more about Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and the Department of Government Efficiency. So they laying out their plans for the department. And in the midst of this, and I think this is why it's important already, most millennials get a story. Actually, excuse me, this was an interviews that were conducted by CNN. Wish I had found the initial CNN story. So CNN was talk to federal employees, and they're having a lot of anxiety about the possibility of losing their jobs. So some of these workers said that DOGE might just be a signal for them to quit. Well, you're paying attention. And now keep in mind, I want to soften this a little bit. Elon Musk has talked about this. He said, let's have a period for, as he has discussed this. And I shared this story with you the other day. Elon Musk said, well, let's give, these employees a period of like 3 years to be able to find other employment. So in other words, they don't have to race, they don't have to be fearful about, that we're going to absolutely just throw them out the door right now, but let's give them a period of time to be able to find a new job so they don't have to stress over that. They know their bills are paid, and then they can look for other work. So it's already happening because this employee told CNN he wanted to remain anonymous. He said the stress would be through the roof. He said that he has been at the General Services Administration for the past 10 years, and he doesn't work there. He would have to come in, right? And he said, I'm at the point where if I had to commute, I would resign. I would take this as a sign to move on and start a new chapter in my life. Well, amen. That's exactly what Elon Musk is talking about. That it's time to move on, find a new chapter in your life. We're going to give you time to be able to do that. Also, we've got Matt Gaetz and the House Ethics Committee. They are going to, the House Ethics Committee met yesterday. They did not release their report on Matt Gaetz. And so there's been pressure, and primarily it's coming from Democrats and the legacy media who are applying the pressure. And so the chairman of the ethics committee told reporters there is not an agreement by the committee to release the report. So they met behind closed doors, took multiple votes, including one to release the report as is, which failed. And then there was another vote to publish just the exhibits associated with the report, which failed. And then a third to formally complete the report, which passed in a bipartisan fashion. So the ethics committee keeping the report private for now. And members, apparently, there was an understanding that the report would be ready by the time that they were meeting. So a vote was taken, and this is Representative Susan Wild of Pennsylvania. She's the top Democrat on the panel. She said, I will say that a vote was taken. As many of you know, this committee is evenly divided between Democrats and Republicans, 5 Dems, 5 Republicans, which means that in order to affirmatively move something forward, somebody has to cross party lines and vote with the other side, which happens a lot, by the way. We often vote unanimously. So they are keeping the report private for now. So no agreement then on releasing this. Also, there are stories involving Matt Gaetz. ABC had a story. The House Ethics Committee has records showing that Matt Gaetz, now this is ABC News reporting, showing that Matt Gaetz allegedly paid more than $10,000 to 2 women who later testified in front of the panel. So this is an exclusive story by ABC News and a number of others that are picking it up now as a result. So Venmo records show that between July of 2017 and late January 2019, Gates, who was first elected in 2016, allegedly made 27 Venmo payments totaling over $10,000 to the two witnesses. And you can find more details on that story. Also, there, as we're talking about what's going on in Washington, the director of FEMA, Deanne Criswell, vowed to request an inspector general investigation into the orders that FEMA employees avoid homes of Trump supporters during their relief efforts. This was following Hurricane Milton. So Criswell was speaking in front of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee on Tuesday, and she has insisted that orders to avoid pro-Trump homes originated from a single employee were not part of a wider directive. So Congress is looking into it, and Deanne Criswell says she will request an inspector general investigation into this. And she said she would welcome that. I would welcome an investigation. So, and she was addressing these representatives. She said the actions that this employee took are unacceptable. And then someone cut her off and said, I know that, you know that. And then Criswell said, and I would welcome an investigation by the IG. And so she was asked, will you request one? And she said, I will request one. So the fallout from Marnie Washington in that story continues. Axios has got a story this morning that some House Republicans are prepared to block Donald Trump from using a recess appointment on Matt Gaetz. So there is House Speaker Mike Johnson has been, supportive of President-elect Trump. And Axios says Trump is convinced that Johnson is on board, but Johnson can only afford to lose 2 or 3 lawmakers on a vote to go into recess. If Johnson lacks a majority, Trump will be denied his pretext to force Congress to adjourn. So this issue of the recess appointments continues to be also an ongoing big story. There are a number of, also a lot of attention that has been made to the House trans bathroom ban. And there is nobody knows how this would actually get enforced if you wind up doing this. And so Nancy Mace has been out there and talking about it. She pledged to fight to keep men out of women's spaces. And so then there was an issue. Okay, how would you do this? Well, the incoming Representative-elect Sarah McBride is the first transgender person to be elected to Congress. McBride said she will just follow the speaker's rule. She said, I'm not here to fight about bathrooms. I'm here to fight for people in Delaware to bring down costs facing families, she said. So McBride issued a statement that she will follow the rule. Some, it's an issue, and others are not concerned about it. And then there's a story this morning This is from the New York Post that staffers at MSNBC are in a panic because Comcast has sold the channel. They have actually, Comcast announced Wednesday that MSNBC will join CNBC, Oxygen, E, Sci-Fi, and the Golf Channel as part of a completely new company called SpinCo. So MSNBC will no longer be under the NBC News umbrella. So what that's going to mean for MSNBC moving forward remains to be seen. And folks at NBC are petrified over that move, and which obviously brings me a little bit of joy. Honestly, I thought you might find that as a piece of good news. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you here. Currently, mostly cloudy and 24. This hour of the show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Camp in Robbins, weekdays at 2. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Shallow Hotline is brought to you by Tires. See in-store details about how to get...
So MSNBC is going to be sold. They're in meltdown at the View.
We gather for the holidays. We gather because in the blur of life, we often take our blessings for
Last couple of days have been rough on the View.
And our own interests. We gather to slow down and reflect on what truly matters. Our loved ones and cherishing the simple moments of joy.
Sonny Hostin, who was making comments about Matt Gaetz, and then 3 minutes after she made the comments, I talked about this yesterday on the 4th hour. I shared the video with you. 3 minutes later, she was handed a notice by the ABC legal department. So, oh man, that show's in a free fall. Excuse me.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic...
Bring my attention back to what I'm doing here.
GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
Slow it down.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Becoming partly sunny today, less wind too. That's helpful. High temperature at 34. Northwest wind at about 15 to 25 and decreasing. And a lighter wind tonight, low temperature 21. Tomorrow will rebound close to 38 in the afternoon with a partly cloudy sky.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, it's mostly cloudy, 24 at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center this morning. Coming up here in moments, some much-needed construction on a section of Minnesota Avenue may have to wait for another year. Joe will have details. Also, Sioux Falls Finance Director explaining why the city's budget is so tight. Joe will have details on those stories for you. Coming up in moments, you're listening to The Greg Belfrage Show.
I'm Gianna Gelosi. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance is returning to Capitol Hill this morning in the ongoing effort to sell lawmakers on some crucial cabinet nominees, one day after he made the rounds with Attorney General pick Matt Gaetz.
Senator's been giving me a lot of good advice. I'm looking forward to a hearing. Folks have been very supportive. They've been saying we're going to get a fair process. So it's a great day of momentum for the Trump-Vance administration.
The House Ethics Committee has been investigating Gaetz for alleged sexual misconduct. At least 2 people are dead and hundreds of thousands are without power after a once-in-a-decade bomb cyclone slammed the West Coast. Just about everywhere you turn is barricaded by branches. Eastside Fire says it came on like a light switch, and Sammamish has never seen.
Got an email from somebody saying that I said Lincoln Riley versus Laken Riley. Now I said her name a number of times, and I read, and perhaps Lincoln slipped out. That happens. You know, I'm sharing this news and my eyes are scanning ahead as I'm reading a lot of this. So and forgive me if I did. I know it's Laken Riley. I also wonder if people are hearing me say Lincoln when I'm saying Laken. So I'll have to be a little bit more deliberate.
Public Works Director Mark Cotter had hopes of using that money for the next section of rebuilding Minnesota Avenue in 2025.
Minnesota Avenue is, it's the key gateway into downtown from the north. We've been able to accomplish the first section of Minnesota Avenue. Ultimately, there'll be several phases of it that get us down to 18th Street.
The surface of Minnesota Avenue needs repair in that area, but of even greater concern is the critical water main that's beneath the surface. It's nearly 60 years old and needs to be replaced. If it doesn't make the list of projects next year, Cotter says it will be near the top of the list of projects in 2026. The reason why the city's budget is so tight? Declining sales tax revenues. Finance Director Sean Pritchett says one of the areas of sharp decline is the construction of multifamily homes. Restaurant and entertainment revenues are also down for the first time since the pandemic. The city of Sioux Falls announced the launch of The Falls. It's a new identity for the connected downtown park system. The Falls encompasses Falls Park, Levitt Shell, the River Greenway, Boyd Landing, and Jacobson Plaza. South Dakota's Attorney General is urging Congress to pass the bipartisan Kids Online Safety Act. Marty Jackley says federal lawmakers need to address the growing mental health crisis linked to social media use. Suggestions include mandatory default safety settings, disabling algorithms that keep kids scrolling, and providing parents with tools to identify harmful behavior. And in college basketball yesterday, the Jackrabbits beat Southern Miss 101-76. And the Coyotes snuck past Western Michigan 80-76. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Becoming partly sunny today and less windy. Our high temperature 34. That northwest breeze, though, at 15 to 25, decreasing late this afternoon. For tonight, light winds, partly cloudy skies, a low temperature at 21. And tomorrow, light winds, partly cloudy skies, high temperature at 38. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
The station intelligent people listen to.
That's BS. That's a lot of garbage.
Don't be that guy.
Now this idiot get on the radio.
Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
If you're a parent, think about this. If someone used AI to create a deep-fake, realistic, photo-quality image of your daughter engaged in a sexually explicit act, what would you do? What should the law do? I'm Ken Commando for Oracle. Cut your current cloud bill in half. Move to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and see if your company qualifies at oracle.com/Kim. This is not just an empty academic question. This is reality. In Pennsylvania, a male student at the Lancaster Country Day School did just this. Not just one female student. He created photos of 50 girls. The school principal knew in November of last year. He did nothing until parents forced his resignation. The student was arrested, but no one is quite sure what the charges will be. Laws are written to prosecute and jail perverts who circulate real photos of kids engaged in sexual acts. But does this cover deep fakes? A new Congress convenes on January 3rd, and I can't think of a better problem to tackle. Sign up for my free newsletter at getkim.com. Even if you think it's a bit overhyped, AI is suddenly everywhere, from self-driving cars to molecular medicine to business efficiency. If it's not in your industry yet, it's coming fast. But AI needs a lot of speed and computing power. So how do you compete without costs just spiraling out of control? Time to upgrade to the next generation of cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. It's a blazing fast and secure platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, plus all your AI machine learning workloads. OCI costs 50% less for computing and 80% less for networking. Thousands of businesses have already upgraded. Oracle's offering to cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to OCI. Offer ends December 31st, 2024. See if your company qualifies for this special offer at oracle.com/Kim. That's oracle.com/Kim, oracle.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Leaves are falling. Get your gutters cleaned and replace this fall and get ahead of the predicted wet, heavy snow with ABC Seamless. Voted local best 20 years in a row. They'd like to thank Sioux Falls. Call today.
ABC Seamless.
Your age has never stopped you from doing more. Your health insurance shouldn't either. Align, powered by Sanford Health Plan, is an all-in-one Medicare Advantage option with Medicare Parts A and B, prescriptions, $0 premiums and copays, and extra benefits. It's one complete plan to care for the whole you, all from a local insurance provider you can trust. Do more with Medicare. Do more with Align, powered by Sanford Health Plan. For a free guide, visit align.sanfordhealthplan.com.
I remember a time when Kyle and I were in our teens working for our dad in the summer, and we had one of those heavy rains, and we had to go through all these basements and tear out sheetrock from one basement to another, multiple days in a row, from 6 in the morning till 6 at night, with the heat and the water and the humidity out there. It got to be tough. I'm Andy Bird with Intech Cleaning and Restoration. My dad is Jerry Bird, who founded Intech Cleaning and Restoration. It has grown over the years from one location in Sioux Falls to now 3 locations in Sioux Falls. One of the most common misconceptions about Intech is people don't know we do all the things we do. Some people don't know we do carpet cleaning, some don't know we do duct cleaning, fire restoration, water restoration, attic extraction, construction cleaning. To help you remember about everything we do, when you need it clean, call the Intech team. If you ever have a fire or water disaster, call the Masters of Disasters, Intech.
Okay, some mornings you might not have that get up and go.
Ooh, but at least you can get up and know.
The Greg Belfrage Show, with insightful opinions, stories, and frequent weather updates. It'll get you in the know while you're getting ready to go. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9. Entertaining talk.
.39, mostly cloudy and 24. Good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour is brought to you by the window shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Trending now.
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Here are the stories trending this morning. Jose Ibarra, he's the Venezuelan migrant in the United States, was convicted yesterday on charges of malice murder and felony murder in the death of Laken Riley, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole yesterday. And well, it was pretty devastating to listen to Laken Riley's family. Reading, I think it was her family had read a letter she had written about meeting her future husband, and it was just really kind of heartbreaking stuff. So he was convicted on charges of malice murder and felony murder in the death of Laken Riley. Also, 30 years after Susan Smith was put behind bars for drowning her 2 sons, A board unanimously voted to deny her parole yesterday. And she, on the court feed, was very emotional, as you might imagine, and crying. She said, I know that what I did was horrible. I'm sorry that I put them through that. I wish I could take that back. I really do. I was just scared. I didn't know how to tell the people that love them that, would never see them again. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. Just words, but they come from my heart. So she was denied parole. That was a really incredible. She driving her. She had her 2 young children in car seats in the back of her vehicle, drove it into the water, drowned them, lied about it. It was wow. Other stories that are trending this morning. President Joe Biden now approving sending anti-personnel mines to Ukraine, reversing his own policy. So he now has approved the shipment of anti-personnel mines for Ukraine. This is a report from the Washington Post. And they say the U.S. assistance then will strengthen Kyiv's defenses against advancing Russian troops. So the Biden administration had refused to send these weapons to Ukraine, and now we are seeing them do an about face on a growing number of things in regard to what they are providing now to Ukraine. Also, the Department of Homeland Security issued an internal memo last week warning agents that the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua had expanded its territory in the U.S. to at least 16 states. New York Post had a really incredible story on this. They reported on the internal memo on Monday. This story now is trending this morning. DHS officials warn that Tren de Aragua had recently increased its violent tendencies in Washington, D.C., Virginia, Montana, and Wyoming. The gang has a presence in California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Louisiana, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin. I think the fact that you and I even know the name of this gang, Tren de Aragua, really says something about the Biden administration and lack of commitment to the safety of Americans. Tren de Aragua, you ever heard of it? I mean, prior to the last few years, you ever heard of them? Also, a homeless Florida man was arrested yesterday, charged with plotting to bomb the New York Stock Exchange. He wanted to force a reboot or a reset of the U.S. government. So he didn't realize he was talking to FBI agents, and it is pretty disturbing. I had a number of different reports on this. And pretty disturbing what he was saying. He said there's one place that would be hella easy, the stock exchange. That would be a great hit, he said. Tons of people would support it. They would see it and think, dude, this guy makes sense. They're robbing us, so that's perfect. So he told this to a group of undercover FBI agents. Also trending this morning, after a panel discussion talking about Donald Trump and his cabinet selections, Sunny Hostin had a legal note that she had to read. They were talking on air, and Sunny Hostin had some very strong opinions regarding Matt Gaetz. And within 3 minutes, she was forced to read a legal note It was pretty crazy, Matt, and I watched this. And those of you who watch the fourth hour, which is my 9:30 podcast, those of you who watch the fourth hour, I played the video. It's absolutely incredible because she's going after Matt Gaetz. She's really animated, going after Matt Gaetz. And then 3 minutes later, forced to read this, I don't know what you call it, a legal note. And she was just like absolutely lifeless, not a smile on her face, barely even blinking, and reads this legal note. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Also, Donald Trump's attorneys are demanding that the judge who presided over Trump's hush money trial and conviction throw out the case, saying that it would be uniquely destabilizing to the country if he does not throw out the case. I don't know if this judge is going to be moved by that. Destabilizing to the country. What else is new? I mean, these folks are, it seems like so many of them are engaged in efforts to do exactly that. Destabilize the country. So we'll see what winds up happening there. I don't have a lot of faith in Judge Juan Merchan. Also, Donald Trump tapping Matthew Whitaker as his he's the former acting attorney general. You may remember the name of Matthew Whitaker. Donald Trump now tapping him to become U.S. ambassador to NATO in Donald Trump's new administration. Also trending this morning, the president celebrated his 82nd birthday this week with family. Actually, yesterday was the president's birthday. And there are stories out there. Biden celebrates 82nd birthday, but won't be America's oldest president for long. Yeah, Trump is 78 years old. He will become the oldest president inaugurated when he's sworn into office on January 20th. He will be about 5 months older than Mr. Biden when he was inaugurated in 2021. So he will not have that record for long. Also, Comcast will be spinning off many of its cable television networks. So the cable TV networks that are included in this sale include USA, Oxygen, E, Sci-Fi, Golf Channel, as well as CNBC and MSNBC. So there's a lot of hand-wringing over at MSNBC as to what's going to happen because, we saw some in the NBC News division who were on MSNBC. The news division goes with, obviously does not come with MSNBC. So what they're going to be doing for news, does it matter? I mean, don't they make it up anyway? Who would be able to tell the difference? Also, Vladimir Zelensky of the Ukraine told Fox News late on Tuesday that Ukraine would lose the war in Washington, would lose the war if Washington pulls funding. So he said it would be very dangerous if we lose unity in Europe. And what is most important is unity between Ukraine and the United States. It gets into the whole issue again as to whether the United States should be funding what's going on and a war that doesn't directly involve the United States. So Trump has said that he would bring the Russia-Ukraine war to an end within 24 hours, hasn't said how he would do it. But Zelensky says, if they will cut, I think we will lose, Zelensky said. Of course, anyway, we will stay, we will fight, we will have our production, but it is not enough to prevail, and I think it is not enough to survive, Zelensky says. So he was asked if Trump would be able to influence Putin to end the war. Zelensky said it will not be simple, but yes, he can because he is stronger than Putin, Zelensky said of Trump. Putin is weaker than the United States. The president of the United States has the strength, authority, and weapons, and he can decrease the price of energy resources. So Zelensky saying that Ukraine will lose the war if the U.S. pulls funding. Also, while we're talking about Ukraine, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine cited specific information of a potential air attack yesterday morning and ordered citizens in the country then to shelter in place. So this was, and there were reports too about, Kyiv was bracing for air attack coming from Russia. And so the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine was also preparing for this. Also, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday offered $5 million and safe passage out of Gaza to anyone returning a hostage. He said, to those who want to leave this entanglement, I say, whoever brings us a hostage will find a safe way out for himself and his family. We will also give $5 million for every hostage. Choose. The choice is yours, but the result will be the same. We will bring them all back, said Benjamin Netanyahu. Among other stories trending, the United States has vetoed a United Nations resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. So the U.S. voting against this at the United Nations. So the UN Security Council largely supported the resolution. 14 out of 15 members voted in favor. However, without the measure failed to pass due to a veto by the United States. And the U.S. argued that the resolution did not significantly address the immediate need of Israeli hostages that have been taken. Other stories that are trending this morning. 2 former Georgia election workers who won nearly $150 million defamation judgment against Rudy Giuliani now want Giuliani held in civil contempt for continuing to accuse them then of committing election fraud during the 2020 election. So they filed papers in Washington, D.C., and attorneys representing these 2 Georgia election workers say that Giuliani is still making false claims about them, despite a court-approved deal in May in which he agreed to be, bound by the permanent injunction and so on. And so in their new filing, they say it took only 6 months for Mr. Giuliani to resume his defamatory campaign against the mother and the daughter. Keep in mind, there have been a number of stories trending around that case because they also have taken a good amount of Rudy Giuliani's property and a number of his belongings as a result of that judgment. Also, a group of demonstrators, these are pro-Palestinian protesters, were arrested in the Senate office building. They were protesting there without permission, without authorization, both outside and then inside of the building. The demonstrators were demanding an end to U.S. military support for Israel, a ceasefire in Gaza. It's the same thing we've seen over and over again. Also, a private funeral was held yesterday for Liam Payne. You may remember he died last month in Buenos Aires. So the service was held in England. His parents were present, other family members, a number of celebrities that were close to Liam Payne. So you remember he's been in the news. He died after falling from a hotel balcony. And then finally this morning, a small rural village in Italy is offering homes for as little as $1 after the 2024 presidential election. And this village is saying, are you worn out by global politics, looking to embrace a more balanced lifestyle while securing new opportunities? It's time to start building your European escape in the stunning paradise of Sardinia, according to. So they're working to increase their population size. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57, mostly cloudy, 24. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
And we'll tell you everything.
Well, thanks so much for joining us for the first hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. Please return for the fourth hour coming up at 9:30 this morning. I will see you then. If you would, please hit the like button and have a terrific day.